is up, guys? Welcome back to another GeekaWhat video. In this one, I'm going to be showing you how to build the awesome $1,200 gaming PC behind me. Talking about how I picked the best parts for this system, how to assemble it step by step, and of course, how it performs when it's all powered up. Let's do this. The Corsair HS80 Max is a wireless gaming headset that packs a punch. With precisely tuned 50mm neodymium drivers, Dolby Atmos support, and wireless connectivity over Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz, it has you covered. Use it with a PC, Mac, PS4 or PS5 and enjoy up to 65 hours of battery life wirelessly and 130 hours on Bluetooth in the process. Need a top up? 15 minutes of charge bags you up to 6 hours of use. Check it out at the first links in the description below. I'll be using Newegg to pick the parts as it gives us a good and fairly accurate idea of pricing. Now for a $1,200 build, we want to spend roughly half the budget on the CPU and the GPU. So let's look at those first. As far as CPU goes, there's probably two different lineups we can pick from. There's the AMD Ryzen 5 lineup, so that would be the 7600X and the 7600 non-X. So currently landing at $209 with the discount code for the 7600X. Pretty good actually. And then for the 7600 non-X, that's currently coming in at under $200, $199. The extra $10 is probably worth it. But let's take a look at the Intel Core i5 range as well, as believe it or not, there's often more deals here than you might think. Straight away, the i5 12600KF is only $140. Now that's actually a bit of a bargain when you consider the fact that it's got 6 P-cores, 4 E-cores, loads of threads, and decent base and boost clock speeds. So unusually for this build, I'm actually going to go Intel. Now for an Intel build, I obviously need a B760 motherboard as well. So let's take a look at what options we have there. I want Wi-Fi, I want a bit of RAM overclocking obviously, and I'm looking for an ATX board. Something like this B760 Gaming X AX will do the trick really nicely. I also want a DDR5 motherboard, as I think the price differential between DDR4 and DDR5 just makes that more worth it. I said I was going to do the GPU next, but I am going to tick off the RAM and SSD. Once you've got the motherboard, we know roughly what storage and memory we need. 32 gigs of DDR5, presumably at a lower cache latency if we can achieve it. Now Corsair Vengeance, that's coming in at $125. It's a little bit on the higher end side in terms of price point, but I believe that's because this should be a CL32 kit. That's going to give us more performance and it's 6400 megahertz. If you wanted to save $20, go for the Corsair kit with a higher cache latency, but personally I think this is going to give us a good chunk of extra performance, which we definitely want to enable. I'm also going to go for a 1TB NVMe SSD. I want a PCI Gen 4 drive as that's going to give us the most speed, so let's have a quick look. 1 to 2 terabytes, and we want it to be PCI Gen 4 X4. That's going to give us over 3 gigabytes a second. Straight away, $79 for a Samsung 980 Pro is an amazing deal. But let's look at what the best selling items are and see what you guys, not highest price, best selling. Let's see what you guys are actually buying off of Newegg. The 980 Pro is the best selling. You can get a 990 Pro though for the same price, just $79 for a 1TB drive. But you know what? $80, I'm going to go for a 1TB 990 Pro as I think that's a bargain. You can get the 2TB for just $120. Speeds of 7.5 gigabytes a second. It really is kind of crazy. I think now's a good time to look at where our basket's at. $1,200 budget, we've got the CPU, motherboard, RAM, and SSD. All the 4 components will install outside of the case, coincidentally. 12600KF does need a cooler, so let's see kind of what CPU coolers are available. I don't want to spend too much as we can't overclock the motherboard, so an air cooler is going to be preferable. And I think our options come down to the Pure Rock 2 from Be Quiet, which currently comes in about $29, or the Deepcool AK400, which currently comes in with the promo code for about $28. Unbelievable. You know what? I'm going to mix things up. I've used the AK400 a lot. I think the Be Quiet cooler would be good to try, and the fan will be pretty quiet. One thing they're great for is the audible side, and that's actually really important when you're building a system. You never want it to be too loud. Also going to need ourselves a case, PSU, and graphics card. I'm sort of tempted to leave the graphics card towards the end, just so we can see exactly how much money we have to play with. Case-wise, I want something under $100. I want something with some RGB and a bit of mesh. So let's have a look and see what PC cases are available. Let's go ahead and do some filtering. So we want to spend between probably $70 and I want to say $100, but we don't want to go any higher than that for this build. And straight away, that's bringing up some good options. Lian Li Lancool 216 RX is a nice case. I like that a lot. Corsair 4000D, only $79. That's also great to see. Cougar Duo Face down to just $84. We actually used this in a recent build and a review, which you can check out on the channel. I have got my eyes on this CH560, so it's over $100 on the headline figure, but but you get $20 off with a promo code. And by the looks of things, we get 4 included RGB fans and loads of airflow, which is exactly what I'm after. $619, so $600 left for the PSU and graphics card. Let's see what power supply we can get. So we probably want, for the kind of cards that this build would have, a 750 watt unit. Thermaltake Smart BM3 is $90, but you also get $25 promo code. So that's going to take it to $65 for the power supply, which is going to absolutely maximize the amount of money we have available for the graphics card. It's semi-modular and it's got a Gen 5 cable. So if we do go the NVIDIA route, we probably won't, but if we do go the NVIDIA route, got everything that we need. And that gives us $515.06 to be precise to spend on the graphics card. That should be pretty achievable. As far as GPU goes, couple of options. We've got technically the RTX 4070, but that's beaten out by AMD's 7800 XT. You've got the 6800 XT from last gen, but that's beat out probably again by the 7800 XT. So I think 7800 XT is instantly where I would probably want to look. It has had good reviews. There has been some criticism that it's not massively better than the 6800 XT on a generation by generation basis, but for $500, there isn't anything else that currently beats it. Looking, Gigabyte card for $499 looks to be the cheapest. Also got an ASRock card here for $529, Tough Gaming for $519, Power Color card for $529. Plenty of choices actually, it has to be said. Let's see which one's the best selling. Let's see which the most popular 7800 XTs are. The Gigabyte OC card, we reviewed that actually when it first came out, and it's the most popular. We liked it. I think that probably makes sense. And it's on the more affordable end of the spectrum. So let's go ahead and pop that in the cart and see if we've finally got ourselves a build that's ready to order. $1,184.93. There's even some money left over for a dodgy Windows key, but don't tell anyone I told you about that. Anyway, I'll rejoin you at the desk once all this stuff has arrived. Let's get it built. A couple of days have passed and everything I was missing has now arrived. And I have to say, looking at it all on the table, I think I've made some pretty good choices. The first thing I'm going to do is install as many bits as possible into the motherboard. And this is where we get a nice close look at Gigabyte's B760 Gaming X AX. I think because AMD's current mid-range options are just so solid, I've often been guilty of discounting some of the Intel options when they do provide really, really great value for money. And this motherboard is certainly no exception. Now, CPU installation is pretty easy. This is where we're going to... It's where I'm going to pick up off the floor my hopefully not broken Intel Core i5-12600KF. It's really interesting actually how much the 12600KF has come down in price and shows how competitive not only retailers like Newegg and Amazon are starting to become with certain components, but also of course how much Intel would quite like to shift some of their 12th gen processors. Let's pop that in there. I do still think going for a B760 motherboard was a good shout. Yes, you could save $20 by switching it out for a B660 board, but extra features, more up to date, better CPU support. I think it's just $20 personally well spent. It also allows us to install the DDR5 memory that we purchased. This RAM is going to last you a lot longer than DDR4 would in terms of giving you better upgrade paths down the line. And this 32GB kit from Corsair is really great value. Of course, let's push back the Eclipse on the RAM DIMM slots and get the RAM into place. We're going to be using the 2nd and 4th slots, which gives us 2 extra slots spare for some future RAM upgrades in slots number 1 and 3. Once that's done, M.2 SSD is going to be next. This is an area that I probably did splash out just a little bit, but when I'm recommending the builds for you guys, I want to make sure that if there is an opportunity to spend a little bit more money and create a more well-rounded build that's actually easier to use and you haven't got to go and uninstall a game once you've installed 5 because you've ran out of room, that's something I will do. And the 990 Pro is a genuinely exceptional drive, especially for the price points these are now available for. I can't help but feel like we've actually kind of reached the point with SSDs where more speed's nice to have, but it really isn't required, even for high-end builds, even 4K gaming PC builds where people are naturally spending a lot more money. And I think Gen 5 drives will catch on, but I think they'll probably struggle compared to their Gen 4 counterparts. Just slide that into place, pop the cover back on, and then re-secure down the heat shield. This is going to help because the Gen 4 drives, if there are any disadvantages, do run a little bit hot. CPU air coolers next, and of course for this we picked up the Pure Rock 2. I'm particularly interested to see how this cooler performs, as in lots of my more budget-oriented builds I've been picking options from Deepcool, which often provide better value for money and deliver a really nice aesthetic experience. First impressions though are that this is a thicker actual heatsink, significantly wider in fact. Now the fins do seem a little bit more dense on the Deepcool version, but its Be Quiet one is actually more hefty than I first imagined, which is potentially a good thing for cooling, but we'll look at that in more detail just just a little bit later. The big challenge though is going to be how easy it is to install, because Deepcool's AK400 is one of my favourite easy to install CPU air coolers once you've kind of got the hang of it. I must admit, it is a slightly more DIY approach so far, whereby you actually take the included backplate and add these little posts on, applying the rubber stoppers yourself, but it's nothing that's particularly complicated. That completed backplate is then going to slot through the rear of the motherboard, if I've done it correctly, which I have. Look at me go. Then need to pop these sort of risers on top, which rather handily can be tightened down with a screwdriver, so pretty good. And then after that, we add these metal brackets on. There are quite a lot of steps involved here before screwing those down into place. And then finally, I can take off the actual sort of protective cover of the pre-applied thermal paste, which is a nice touch. Add that onto the CPU, then pop this metal bar through, and then tighten the metal bar down with the 2 included screws. And then I think we should have our CPU cooler installed. Compared to the Deepcool AK400, it's not a bad mounting hardware design, but equally it's not exactly what I would describe as super intuitive and incredibly simple. The fan is going to go back on later. The advantage is that we get a Pure Wings 2 fan, which is going to be nice and quiet, but keeping this off for now will allow us to more easily install the motherboard into the case, which is of course the Deepcool CH560 from earlier that I haven't got any room to put anywhere. I'm going to unbox this case, clear the desk, and I'll be back in just a few. I've never actually seen this case in person, and I have to say, I think Deepcool have played a bit of a blinder. We've only got one USB Type A, but there is a Type C port on the front panel. Is that 3 140mm fan? Wow! So 3 140mm fans, unbelievable at the front of the case. They are all RGB, all sort of cable managed and wired in. Then on the side of the case, we've got all mesh down here, which is quite unusual. Won't be to everybody's taste, but I quite like it. And that's built into the actual side panel rather than the glass sitting on top. And then inside, there's only a 120 at the back. I think we'll let Deepcool off, won't we? Loads of mesh, built-in GPU support bracket. I like the grommets, just really, really impressive stuff. And of course, it supports our full-size ATX motherboard, massive GPUs, good water cooling, ticks all the boxes. And then inside the case, you'll find a bag, not a box, definitely not a box, a bag of all the screws that we need to actually secure the motherboard in. The motherboard should then slide in nice and simply, just watching all the fan cables, and the raised center standoff will secure it into place and stop it, at least temporarily, from actually moving. 9 screws, 3 across the top, 3 along the middle, and 3 down the bottom, and then I'm going to also return the CPU cooler fan back into place to actually start bulking it out and getting this build ready for the GPU installation in a few moments' time. Before that though, it's time to install the bargain PSU of the century, Thermaltake Smart BM3 750 watt. Now I say bargain PSU of the century because compared to a lot of other power supplies out there, this thing's really affordable. Now it's, as I mentioned before, semi-modular. Now what that means, it used to be more common than it is nowadays. It means you get the motherboard cable pre-installed and then also the CPU power harness. Now because this is an AMD build, we don't need to use the included PCI Gen 5 power connector, as nice as it is to actually have. Instead, we can just go ahead and pop into place the graphics card PCI power cable down the bottom, and then also one of our SATA power cables at the rear, above here, which is where the GPU power connection would plug in if we needed one for an NVIDIA GPU to be precise. The rest of the cables you want to keep safe in the bag. Don't get rid of these for good, as you might need them in future. If you upgrade the build, swap the graphics card out, add more SATA connections, you get the gist. You can install the power supply fan up or fan down. Just slide that power supply in, nice and simple. Then it's 4 screws, 1 in each corner to secure it down. I'm going to wire up the motherboard cable first. It's the largest and goes to the right hand side, followed by the CPU connection, which goes up to the top left, above the CPU cooler. And then to wrap things up, it's time for the GPU. Before we actually go ahead and get this thing installed, let's take a quick look at performance and see why the 7800 XT really is the best choice for this $1,200 gaming PC build. In lots of our benchmarking, it holds up really well, especially against cards like the RTX 4070, which costs much more. Taking a look at specific titles, and Call of Duty's Modern Warfare 3 is a great example. At 1440p high with FSR enabled and set to the quality preset, the 7800 XT achieves an impressive 212 FPS on average. Those results carry on through into games like Starfield, a really tricky title to run and a poorly optimized game, to be honest. 1440p high, and this build pulled in 85 FPS on average. The 7800 XT showing its raw performance potential. Move through into Warzone 2 at 1440p high with FSR again enabled and set to quality, and you still break past that triple-digit FPS barrier with 129 FPS on average all told, while competitive FPS titles like Fortnite at 1080p also perform really well. wow, just shy of 300 FPS here. Finally, to wrap things up, we also tried out a bit of Apex Legends. Amongst many of the titles on the 7800 XT, you can find our full performance analysis at our review in the card section now. And here at 1440p high, this card achieved over 200 FPS all told. A really fantastic GPU, especially for the 1440p gamer. But that's enough of talking about the kind of performance that you can achieve from this card. Let's actually install it and see what it looks like in the build. I am excited. Look at that. Kind of feels bigger in person than it looks in the pictures. 3-fan cooler is going to be amazing for keeping this GPU nice and cool. I am going to hover the GPU actually above that PCI lane so I can see which of the black rear covers at the back need removing. It's the second and third, so go ahead and remove those first of all. Yes, look at that. Sits really actually quite nicely. And of course, with the GPU support bracket just down here, which I'm going to adjust, that's going to make sure that the GPU isn't going to go anywhere. And also try and keep the form, look after the motherboard, all that good stuff. I've just realised, I said earlier I was going to put the fan back on. Then I'm going to also return the CPU cooler fan. I've lost the fan. Here it is. I'm going to force myself to do that before even screwing the GPU in so that I don't forget. Because otherwise, we're going to have a very, very toasty CPU. There we go. Just a case of wiring up the GPU to finish things off. 8 more pins to go. And with that, genuinely, my best $1,200 gaming PC is finished. But will it boot up first time? Let me plug this thing in, keep our fingers crossed, and hope for the best. Hit the power button. Oh yes, RAM's on. CPU cooler isn't spinning, but I think that is my fault. I forgot to plug the fan in, so let's just pop that in, the top header. Try not to get my fingers caught. There we go. And with that, that's job well done. As always, if you'd like to read the write-up of this build on GeekaWhat.com, check out the first links in the description below. And everything mentioned today will be linked for Amazon and Newegg too. I'll leave you on an awesome, epic montage of how good this thing looks. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.